Derek Holbrook was a 35-year-old investment advisor in Manhattan, a man whose life was built on structure and success. He managed portfolios for high-net-worth clients, turning modest investments into substantial wealth and building a solid reputation over a decade. His personal life was equally well-ordered, or so he thought. He was 2 weeks away from marrying Annalise Granger, a woman he believed was everything he wanted in a partner. Annalise, 32, was an elegant marketing consultant who spoke fluent French and charmed everyone she met, from his mother to his business partners' wives. They had been together for 3 years and engaged for 8 months. The wedding was set for a Saturday afternoon at the Plaza Hotel with 200 guests. Derek had already transferred a $50,000 deposit and booked their honeymoon in Maui. Everything was perfect, he believed. That Tuesday morning, his assistant buzzed him to announce a visitor. Graham Delaney. Derek knew the name, Annalise's ex-boyfriend from college, whom she had dated for 2 years before they met. Annalise had always spoken of him dismissively, as if he were a distant memory. Graham walked into Derek's office, looking like he hadn't slept in days. He was roughly Derek's age, maybe a year younger, and carried a nervous energy that immediately put Derek on edge. His hands shook slightly as he sat down. "I need to tell you something about Annalise," Graham began without preamble. "Something you deserve to know before Saturday." Derek leaned back, irritated. "If this is some attempt to cause drama before my wedding, you can save your breath and leave." Graham's next words hit him like a physical blow. "She's been sleeping with me," he said quietly. "Last weekend, 3 weeks ago. It's been going on since January." Years of negotiating high-stakes deals had taught Derek to never show his hand. He kept his expression neutral. "That's a serious accusation, Graham. And frankly, it sounds like something a bitter ex would make up." "I wish it were a lie," Graham said, pulling out his phone. "But I have proof." He scrolled through a series of text messages. Even from across the desk, Derek could see Annalise's contact photo. His chest tightened, but he remained calm. "Show me." Graham turned the phone. Derek read the messages from the previous week. Annalise had written, "Derek's at his client dinner until late. Can you come over?" Graham had responded, "Are you sure about this? The wedding is so close." Annalise's reply, "I need to see you. I can't stop thinking about what we talked about." Derek remembered that evening clearly. He'd been at 11 Madison Park with a client until nearly midnight. Graham urged him to keep scrolling. More messages appeared, dating back to January. In one particularly damning exchange from February, Annalise had written, "I love you, Graham. I never stopped loving you, but Derek is the better choice for my future. He can give me the life I want." Graham's response was, "Then why are we doing this?" Her answer made Derek's blood run cold. "Because I can have both the security and the love just until after the wedding." Derek handed the phone back, his mind racing. "These could be fabricated," he said, even as he recognized Annalise's writing style. "There's more," Graham said, swiping to a voice recordings app. "I started recording our conversations after she told me about her plan. I needed to protect myself." He played the first recording. Annalise's voice filled the office, clear and unmistakable. "Derek thinks I'm this perfect woman, but he doesn't really know me. He knows the version of me that his social circle wants to see. You know the real me, Graham. You always have. Then why marry him?" Graham's voice asked. "Because," Annalise said with a laugh Derek had heard thousands of times, "he's worth multiple millions and you're a struggling photographer in Brooklyn. I'm 32, not 22. I need security, but I also need you." Derek sat in silence as Graham played 2 more recordings. In each, Annalise detailed her strategy with cold precision. She planned to continue her affair after the marriage. She viewed their relationship as a business arrangement wrapped in romance, calculating exactly how much money she would have access to and which of his assets would become marital property under New York law. When the recordings ended, Graham looked at him with something approaching pity. "I'm sorry, Derek. I really am, but I couldn't let you walk into this blind." "Why now?" Derek asked. "Why tell me this 2 weeks before the wedding?" "Because she's planning to end things with me after the honeymoon," Graham said. "She told me last weekend that our arrangement would have to stop once she was officially Mrs. Holbrook. She wanted one last month together before she committed to her investment, as she called it. Derek stared out the window at the Manhattan skyline, processing the fact that the woman he was about to marry viewed their relationship as a stock portfolio. She had calculated the return on investment of marrying him while maintaining her emotional hedge fund on the side. "What do you want from me?" Derek asked. "Nothing," Graham said, standing up. "I just thought you deserved to know who you're really marrying." After Graham left, Derek sat alone in his office for 3 hours. He could have called Annalise and ended it dramatically, but something stopped him. His years in finance taught him that emotional decisions often led to catastrophic losses. He realized that if Annalise could orchestrate such an elaborate deception, she deserved a response that matched her level of calculation. He decided to investigate further before making a move. That evening, he went home to their shared apartment on the Upper West Side and acted as if nothing had changed. Annalise was in the kitchen, humming softly as she prepared their usual Tuesday night salmon. She gave him the radiant smile he'd fallen for 3 years ago. "Busy?" she asked. "Client meetings ran long," he said, kissing her cheek. "Poor baby," she cooed, running her fingers through his hair. "Only 10 more days and then we'll be in Maui. Just you and me, and no work for 2 whole weeks." He watched her move, noticing details he'd never paid attention to before. The way she checked her phone every few minutes, how she positioned it face down on the counter, the slight tension in her shoulders. Over the next week and a half, Derek conducted his investigation with the same methodical approach he used for due diligence on major investments. He hired a private investigator, a former NYPD detective named Rita Santos, who specialized in matrimonial cases. Rita's initial report confirmed everything Graham had told him and more. She documented Annalise entering Graham's apartment building on multiple occasions, staying for several hours each time. The most recent visit was just days before Graham came to see him. But Rita's investigation revealed something even more disturbing. Annalise had been researching New York's equitable distribution laws, downloading articles about spousal rights to retirement accounts and business assets. She'd even consulted with a divorce attorney in January, just 2 weeks after she had reconnected with Graham. "She's been planning this marriage like a hostile takeover," Rita explained during their meeting in a diner. "She knows exactly what she'll be entitled to if things don't work out. She's treating you like a diversified investment portfolio." The final piece of evidence came from Graham himself, who called Derek a few days before the rehearsal dinner. This time, he brought printed screenshots of financial documents Annalise had sent him, including copies of Derek's investment statements and details about his stake in the advisory firm. "She wanted me to see how much money was involved," Graham said. "She kept saying she was doing this for both of us, that once she had access to your accounts, she could help me start my photography business properly." Derek realized Annalise hadn't just been unfaithful, she'd been conducting corporate espionage on their relationship. She'd systematically gathered intelligence about his financial position, legal vulnerabilities, and business interests. She had turned their engagement into a reconnaissance mission. That night, Derek made his decision. He could have simply called off the wedding, exposed her privately, and moved on. But Annalise had spent 3 years building her reputation as the perfect fiancée, the woman everyone admired and envied. She'd cultivated relationships with his family, friends, and business associates, all while planning to exploit the trust they'd placed in her. She deserved to face the same audience she'd been performing for. Derek spent the weekend creating a presentation. Using his skills in financial analysis, he compiled all the evidence into a comprehensive file. Screenshots of the text messages, audio clips from the recordings, photographs from Rita's surveillance, and copies of the legal research Annalise had conducted. Everything was time-stamped, verified, and organized into a narrative that would be impossible to deny. The rehearsal dinner was scheduled for Friday evening at the Rainbow Room in Rockefeller Center. Both families, the wedding party, and close friends would be there. 53 people total, all gathered to celebrate what they believed was a love story. Derek arranged for the venue's audio-visual team to set up a large screen for what he told them would be a surprise slideshow of their relationship. The presentation was loaded onto his laptop, ready to be displayed at the moment he chose. On Friday morning, Annalise woke up excited. She spent hours getting ready, choosing the perfect dress for what she called our last night as an engaged couple. "I can't believe tomorrow is finally the day," she said, adjusting her earrings. "It's going to be unforgettable." She had no idea how right she was, Derek replied. The Rainbow Room was spectacular that Friday evening. The Manhattan skyline glittered through the windows as their families mingled over cocktails. Annalise moved through the crowd like she was born for this moment, accepting compliments and charming everyone. Derek's mother pulled him aside near the bar. "You're so lucky, Derek," she said, watching Annalise. "She's absolutely radiant. I've never seen you this happy." "Tonight's going to be very memorable," he told her. At 8 o'clock, the restaurant manager dimmed the lights for dinner and toasts. Derek had arranged to speak first. He stood up, champagne glass in hand, and looked around the room. Annalise beamed at him from her seat, her engagement ring catching the light. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he began. "Annalise and I are incredibly grateful to have your love and support as we start this new chapter of our lives together." Murmurs of approval rippled through the room. Annalise blew him a kiss. "I've learned a lot about love over the past 3 years," Derek continued. "I've learned about trust, commitment, and the importance of really knowing the person you're planning to spend your life with." He paused, meeting Annalise's eyes. Her smile faltered slightly, sensing a shift in his tone. "I've also learned that sometimes the people closest to us aren't quite who we think they are. Sometimes the person wearing the white dress has been living a completely different life than the one we thought we were sharing." The room grew quiet. A few people exchanged confused glances. "So tonight, instead of just talking about love, I want to show you what I've discovered about honesty." He nodded to the technician, and the large screen behind him flickered to life. The first slide showed Annalise's text message to Graham. "Derek's at his client dinner until late. Can you come over?" The timestamp and her contact information were clearly visible. Gasps echoed through the room. Annalise's face went white. "These messages were sent last week while I was having dinner with the Rothschild family," Derek said calmly. The next slide showed her message about loving Graham but choosing Derek for financial security. Then came the recording, her voice crystal clear through the sound system. "Derek thinks I'm this perfect woman, but he doesn't really know me. He knows the version of me that his social circle wants to see." Annalise stood up abruptly, knocking over her champagne glass. "Derek, stop this. This isn't real. Someone's manipulating." "Sit down," he said quietly, and something in his voice made her comply. The presentation continued for 12 minutes. Every text message, every recording, every piece of evidence was displayed in chronological order. The room watched in stunned silence as the woman they had all admired revealed herself to be a calculated manipulator who viewed their engagement as a business transaction. The final slide showed the legal research she had conducted about divorce settlements and asset division. Annalise spent considerable time researching New York's equitable distribution laws, Derek explained. "She knew exactly what she'd be entitled to if our marriage didn't work out. She'd even consulted with a divorce attorney in January, just 2 weeks after reconnecting with Graham." He closed the laptop and looked around the room. Annalise's parents sat frozen in their chairs. My groomsmen stared at their plates. The bridesmaids looked like they wanted to disappear. "I want to thank everyone for coming tonight," he said. "And I want to thank Graham Delaney for having the courage to tell me the truth about the woman I was about to marry. The wedding scheduled for tomorrow is cancelled. Obviously, the deposits are non-refundable, but I consider that a small price to pay for avoiding a much more expensive mistake." He picked up his jacket. "Enjoy the rest of your evening. The bar's open for another hour." He walked out of the Rainbow Room and took the elevator down. Behind him, he could hear the explosion of voices as 53 people tried to process what they had just witnessed. 3 months later, Derek heard through mutual friends that Annalise had moved to Los Angeles. Graham tried to reach out once, but Derek never responded. Some bridges, once burned, should stay that way. Derek is still single, still managing investments, and still living in Manhattan. But he's also smarter now about the difference between the person someone appears to be and the person they actually are. The $50,000 he lost on wedding deposits was the best money he ever spent. It bought him his freedom and taught him that the truth, no matter how painful, is always worth more than a beautiful lie.